So here is the Klottey Korle constituency in Ghana, and it's in Accra, in the capital. Klottey Korle houses Osu, which is the initial first ever commercial hotbed in Accra, here in Osu. Then there's Adom-Otchere, which also has a bit of history because Adom-Otchere is the first residence of the elite Ghanaians who were contesting colonial authority. Most of them lawyers and merchants, business merchants, J.B. Dankwa, Pagrant, etc. They all lived in Adom-Otchere. So the constituency is Osu, Adom-Otchere, and Asylum Down. Asylum Down is a hodgepodge of business people, traders, most of them from the hinterlands, most of them from the Akan extraction. And then you have a bit of North Range, which is really government establishments, but these days also hosting big banks and businesses. The leading mobile phone company in Ghana, MTN, until recently had its head office in one of the areas of Ridge and has now moved its current head office also still in the Ridge area. Now, many banks also have their headquarters in this constituency. So it's a rich constituency in terms of the collection of taxes for the Accra Metropolitan Authority, but it's also a hotbed of political history in terms of the resistance to the colonial authority, which was begun and nurtured in Osu with the event of 1948 of the shooting at the crossroads led by the old soldiers who had come from the Second World War. So Osu has a rich history, both politically, business, and also intellectually. Most of the old law firms in Ghana are based in Adom-Otchere, which is part of the Klottey Korle constituency. So this is the constituency about whom there's so much controversy in this election. The scenarios are so many, and we'll be talking about the scenarios tonight. But this is the constituency. Now, where we are standing right now is in the center of Osu, which is the first ever commercial suburb in Ghana. And to my right is the famous middle-class restaurant called Papaya. And ahead of me is the road that leads to the Osu Castle, the seat of government for the colonial authority, and until recently, the seat of government of the president of Ghana. To my right is a place called Cuckoo Hill, where incidentally our former president, J.E.A. Mills, had his office for a very, very long time. And behind me is the famous Osu Oxford Street, which until recently was a famous street for entertainment and business. And down to the left-hand side is the Laboni area in an estate named Nyaniba Estates. Nyaniba is the name of the mother of the first president of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. So all of this history put together and the current presentation of the Klottey Korle constituency makes it particularly important in the analysis, whether it's business, whether it's political history, whether it's a mixture of tribes in Ghana, or whether it's about politics. Now, what's happening in Klottey Korle in this election? The controversy is brewing, and it's brewing very fast. The two political parties, the main political parties, the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party, both have such huge interest in the candidates that are contesting for them that there's been so much controversy about the matter. The latest is that within the New Patriotic Party, the candidate who won the first primaries and lost the second primaries, the so-called popular Nino Inote, has just announced that he'll be running against his own party as an independent candidate. Now, this will not be the first time this happened in the constituency, and I'll take you to the history so that you can understand that. Within the NDC also, it's the famous daughter of the former president, J.J. Rawlings, Dr. Zanetta Rawlings. She has won the primaries, but she is in court defending herself against one of the critical guidelines that the NDC applied for the purpose of the primaries, whether or not she was a registered voter at the time that the elections occurred. So that's the controversy. Now, so in the NPP, they are talking to Ninoy to step aside, but he's still standing his grounds to run as an independent candidate. The other candidate who lost the first primaries and won the second primaries is Mr. Philip Addison. Now, Philip Addison is a famous lawyer in Accra, one of the fine lawyers in Ghana, but he became very famous when he led the presidential petition that the New Patriotic Party's presidential candidate put up after the 2012 election. For 8 months, Mr. Addison was on state television and he was arguing the case for the New Patriotic Party. And this was a case in which all Ghanaians and Ghanaians of all demographics took a big interest in. And so Mr. Addison's name and image became famous among many people. He's hoping to build on that as an impetus to be able to represent the party. But there was controversy at the local level. He lost the first election. He's won the second one. As we speak, he's currently the New Patriotic Party's parliamentary candidate in this constituency. On the other side, Dr. Rawlings is also in court. And the case scenarios are as follows. Dr. Rawlings may lose the court case if she does, but she could still be the NDC's parliamentary candidate for the Klottey Korle constituency. And this is how that could happen. If she loses the court case, the NDC will be required to run another parliamentary primaries. And they could easily delete the guideline that said that people must be registered, must be on the electoral roll before they run the election. Easily, Dr. Rawlings, that could be deleted for Dr. Rawlings to run the primaries again. It's entirely possible that in that new primary, she will run without Adom-Otchere, because Adom-Otchere, having sent the party to court, will most likely be either suspended or sacked from the party. He's an incumbent member of parliament, and he may be suspended from the party for taking the party to court. So Dr. Rawlings could lose a court case, but still emerge as a party's parliamentary candidate. On the MPP side, it looks like Nino Inote may run as an independent candidate. Philip Addison will be the MPP's candidate. Now, the history of this party from 1992, I should say the history of this constituency from 1992 has been interesting, and the controversy didn't start today. In 1992, the MPP did not run because they boycotted the elections, and so the NDC ran with a gentleman called Klottey Korle, who was elected as the parliamentary candidate for this constituency. Following after that, in 1996, Honorable David Lamptey, who has passed on now, and so has Klottey Korle, may they both rest in peace. Honorable David Lamptey, who was supposed to be the MPP candidate for the 1992 election, became an NDC person, having been introduced to the NDC by the Honorable E.T. Mensah. David Lamptey came to join the NDC. He ran the NDC primaries and defeated Klottey Korle right here in Osu to become the NDC parliamentary candidate. Now that's interesting. Here was a guy who 4 years earlier was going to be the MPP candidate. He joins the NDC. He defeats the incumbent member of parliament in the primaries to become the NDC's parliamentary candidate. Now, Klottey Korle was so angered by this situation that he decided to run as an independent candidate. So this is not the first time you are having that. So the 1996 contest was between the independent candidate, who was the incumbent, and the Honorable David Lamptey, who was the NDC candidate, having converted from the MPP. The MPP had a candidate, but he was not very, very popular. So David Lamptey went into the contest and narrowly won. Now, on the day of the voting, there were lots of fights. There was a lot of violence all over the place because there was such an acrimonious campaign between David Lamptey and Klottey Korle that it was fascinating. And David Lamptey eventually emerged the winner of the contest. In 2000, David Lamptey was beaten by Adom-Otchere. And it's significant to know that when Adom-Otchere ran the elections in 2000, he was supported by some of the bigwigs of the MPP party in this constituency. Philip Addison was one of them. Philip Addison was definitely one of those who stood behind Adom-Otchere in the 2000 campaign to support Adom-Otchere to win. Also, Herbert Mensah, who was then a leading football administrator, then chairman of Asante Kotoko, very influential in Ghana at the time, also threw his weight behind Adom-Otchere to win this constituency. Incidentally, Herbert Mensah lives in this constituency as well. And you have Frank Davis, who is currently the MPP constituency chairman for the Bodri constituency in Labadi. Frank Davis was one of those who we remember as reporters supported Adom-Ochere's candidature in 2000. So they all supported him, and he got elected in 2000, got elected in 2004, and Adom-Otchere entered the race in 2004, got beaten in 2004. But in 2008, Adom-Otchere became the candidate. So that's the confusion here. So what are the scenarios in Klottey Korle? Scenarios are that Philip Addison will run as the MPP candidate. Nino Inote will run as the MPP independent candidate. Dr. Zaneto Rawlings will run as the NDC candidate. Adom-Otchere might run or might sponsor somebody to run as an NDC independent candidate. So that's going to be interesting. I just entered a group of young men who were having a game of cards and engaged them on this conversation. And this is what they had to say. See this.
What's going on? from start to end this. Machine. One and only yard. Maybe by leader or other leader. One and only yard. Or get to the film. What you want to do? What you are washing. Washing every step. That Leon is a new party. Back with IG.
It's been a new noise.
Near by lunch. Yeah, press conference here. Independent candidate. November 7.
Oh, Yambakla.
Oh, Abakla. What's smaller? Ejawate.
What is number? You
Yeah, you tell you. Also, Klottey. They be Sunny Airport. And this, you know, is that what end this or bend?
One number about winning.
When you're in, I won't find anyone.
Guys, you're not about
Addison. How about winning next year?